Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a Vanguard versus Infernal matchup. We're going to be on Titan's Causeway. My apologies for the lack of uploads recently. I know it's been a few days. I've just been super busy. We're going to be looking at first-person perspective this time. No observer and no mix because I really just don't have the time right now. So I'm just going to be doing some commentary over this one. And because I already have this recorded, I'm just going to be doing this. So same as always, we're going to send our dog right across the map, and we're looking to get damage on the Hexen, and we're also looking to spend his energy. So you can see I get the skull, and I'm just going to back out, and I'm going to go grab the healing fruit. Always good to know where the healing fruits are on these maps, so you can spend a little bit of time in a custom game running around looking at them if you don't know. And he's going to be sending his imp down, so I'm just going to be trying to poke that. And again, the goal is just to be annoying, just to kind of delay the base and get that Hexen energy and some damage. So he's used the skull, and so I'm just going to kind of avoid it. You can kind of just run circles around it, really. He does get the base up, but that's not really the biggest deal. Don't overcommit on trying to get the base delayed. Don't lose your dog for it or anything like that, because you've already got your base working and quite a bit up. So behind this, I'm going command center first. This is my go-to build, even on the newest balance patch 0.01, 0.01 I think it is. It's always a very high quality build and pretty safe. So I'm going to go for 3 workers building my barracks once I have enough. Always making workers. Constant worker production is the key in all matchups, but especially this one because you're going to need to match the growth of the Infernal. So here we go again. I'm just going to come up now that I'm full HP. I'm going to get the energy out of the Hexen. I'm going to try and do a bit of damage, but he's going to pull some workers, so I'm just going to back up. I'm going to go to the next healing fruit. And all I'm doing is ensuring that he can't use those skulls on different creep camps to get free fiends. I'm reducing the amount of army he's going to have, and everything makes a difference. So I'm going to run around. I kind of forgot that I had already eaten this fruit, and so I'm going to send my dog up top. And back at home, I usually just make 1 or 2 lancers, sometimes 3 or 4. Kind of depends on what they're doing. I see this guy doesn't have many production buildings, so I'm just going to be making a couple. And I'm going to be adding my biokinetics lab to go straight into Exo. We're going to be playing Bio this game. I think Bio is the far better choice versus Infernal, but Mech is also doable. So I'm going to get more workers onto the biokinetics lab, 3. I'm going to make sure I don't get supply blocked at 30, so I'm going to be building that. And just continuing worker production. Very important to continue worker production. Now I see he's got 2 gaunts and he's making 2 more. I also managed to spot that he's got a bolt coming up, so soon enough. I try and go up against the corner of the base there to see if I can get any more insight with the long range. And I'm just going to be making my exos. I'm going to be starting quick draw hustle as soon as I can. Remember that as soon as the barracks is finished production, I transfer 5 of my workers to Therium so that I can start mining that. I can get those upgrades. I can get tier 2 going. And I can start to add additional barracks and keep up with that extra production. I typically go for 3 barracks when I'm on 2 bases. And I'm going to head out here and do some creep camps, always trying to stay active on the map. This sometimes doesn't work if he's doing a large army with lots of creep camps, which is especially popular in the newest patch where creep camps are giving a lot more resources. You might not be able to go out on the map. So survey with your dog how big his army is, and if you're going to get caught or anything like that, it's better to just stay at home. It's really not worth losing the game to try and get those resources. So I've seen with my dog how big his army is, and I see a fiend coming up across the map. That's not a big deal. And so I know I could probably go out and take a few camps without too much worry. And I'm going to send my dog up north to be scouting the other attack path.
Capture point secured.
Behind this, I've added on my 3rd barracks, and I'm just continuing worker production. Typically, I get tier 2 command posts. Sometimes I get it sooner, but usually once I have 12 workers on the mine, I'm fine to get it. So that's usually in my main base that it happens first. whichever place I get 12 workers in first,
Construction
I
complete.
just upgrade it. That's my next thing. So instead of doing workers,
Our
the next
forces
step
are
of
under
production
attack.
is for it to go up to tier 2. We're going to run into that bug where the trees randomly explode. And I see here he's probably going for this third base. He's going to drop some a meat farm there, and he's going to bring some additional units.
Our
And so I'm going to
forces
send one
are
of my
under
workers to
attack.
open up the trees there for an attack. I'm quite a fan of this on all maps, where if, especially in like Secluded Grove and stuff like that, if they're setting up in the middle, don't be afraid to pull one of your workers and get them to open up that attack path.
Upgrade complete.
It's very important that, you know, the map is open and you're dictating how it goes. I'm going to get my tier 2 right on time, and I'm going to rank up all my exos that I can. You can see one of those exos is already tier 1 because we were doing creep camps earlier, and so he promoted, so he's got that bonus range, health, and damage. So creep camps are very important. I'm going to be doing a bit of kiting here during the actual fight. I'm going to promote my Lancer so that he gets that additional HP. It's just going to keep him alive a bit longer. I don't expect him to make it out of this fight. Remember, in all fights, we mostly just micro our exos. It's most important that they stay alive. The other units are there to make space for the exos and to peel for them and all that sort of stuff. And so really, I'm just kind of focusing on the exos overall. I'm going to be doing a bit of macro at home. Make sure you keep your macro cycles up. And I'm going to be getting the Lancer upgrade for the future as well. I'm going to be moving forward here. This is pretty risky, I will say. I know his army is heavily reduced, so this is why I'm able to do this. But typically, you don't want to have exos alone. You need medtechs with them, or you need Lancers, or both. Or some type of heavy tank like a Vulcan. You can see it already goes wrong for me. I lose a couple high tier exos. That's bad for me. I got a few units, it doesn't matter. Losing those high tier exos when they're promoted is pretty costly in comparison. You really want to focus on trying to keep every exo possible alive. Behind this, you can see I've got pretty great worker production.
Construction complete.
I'm going to transfer to that one on the second base, and so you'll see I've got 12 in the main, 11 on the natural, and like 6 or 7 already on the third base. My economy is really geared up, and so I'm ready to start going into full unit production. So I'm going to be adding on shortly here 2 additional barracks, and I'm going to be getting ready for that mech bay. I'm going to start by taking some creep camps, get a bit of money out of that, and you can see there I'm going to add on those 2 barracks. When you're going up into 3 bases, you want to go to 5 barracks, and you want full exo production, and then you want to start adding in med techs and all that sort of stuff. You want to get your additional upgrades. I'm going to go check if he's trying to take the double Luminite base, but he's not. But I know after that fight I took last time, I'm already pretty far ahead, so I'm going to try and push my lead with the speed camp. He's also got the speed camp, so I'm going to be a bit careful here, but I am pretty confident in my push. So I'm going to get my Lancer out front, and he's like gliding around. I don't know if you see that Lancer, he was completely useless there. I'm not sure what he was doing. He was just kind of running around. I'm going to shield the Lancer out front there. I'm going to be focusing with my exos the Gaunts. The Gaunts are the ones doing the damage. Even though exos do bonus to heavy, so it would kill that brute faster, the Gaunts are the ones that are doing the most damage, and they're also the ones that have the bouncing glaives, which are killing most of my exos. The brutes there are just kind of, their job is just kind of to stand and tank, so I'm going to want to be focusing the Gaunts. He's going to activate some of those fire imps. My only tip for those is try and shoot once and then just run. Don't try and stutter step and try and kill them that way. You're going to have to just run. If you're good at splitting, you can split. And if you're good at focus firing and there's not too many, you can also focus fire. I find them extremely difficult to deal with. I'm going to be doing a bit of macro at home while my units just shoot down that tech building. And I'm going to be trying to, you know, just kind of close out the game. My units are in a bit of a weird spot here, but it's not a big deal since I know that they're pretty high veterancy, and he doesn't have many units. So he's going to have to leave because I had a bit too much going for me, and that's going to bring us up to 805. Okay, here we go for game 2. We're going to be jumping right into the recording. I started the recording just a little late on this game, so we're not going to have the loading screen. We're just going to go right into it. Same as always, send the dog across the map, queue up some workers, and we're going to be going for a fast expand. And as soon as you get the skull and a whole bunch of damage off, you're just going to be going and grabbing a health fruit. Be sending my workers down here. Make sure to overcharge them on the first building. Typically after the first command post, you don't want to be overcharging your workers too much more. It is very situational because you want to be saving that energy for the shield and for promote, and maybe even the scouting drone as needed. And I'm just going to be continuing to make workers here. You can see me trying to get that queued up. And I'm going to go take a look across the map because his Hexen recalled. I'm going to be trying to push in and get even more damage on the Hexen. Remember, I'm just trying to get energy and a bit of damage. He's going to pull some workers and do some damage, so I'm just going to back out. It's very important you don't lose the dog early. He's very important to that information that you need. And as you can see, through many of the games that I upload, you're able to use your starting dog all the way into the late game. It's very good. Same as last game, I'm going to be using 3 of my workers to build my first barracks once I've got continued worker production and I've got that extra money. I'm going to be coming back in and poking his Hexen more. Always good to know where the health flowers are because I got another skull here. So I'm going to get my full damage in and I'm going to head back. I'm going to send him north side because there's a flower there. I'm going to begin my Lancer while still continuing my workers. Remember, it's very important for workers to always be in production. And once that barracks is complete, same as last game, I'm going to be moving 5 to my Ethereum, and I'm going to be adding in my biokinetics lab right away, going up into EXO. I actually didn't go for the flower, I instead opted to just send it home and repair. Probably should have gone for the flower instead, but it's not a big deal. And once he's repaired, I'm going to be sending him right back out and adding in my second Lancer. Creating workers the whole time, very important. And my dog's actually going to scout the Hexen here. And he's also going to see a brute coming across the map. But the Hexen is already low HP. And I think he's dead here. So I'm going to try and push for it. Even though my dog's very low, I'm going to get it. And I'm just going to back out. I don't have to fight that brute. And if that brute wants to try and come into my mineral line or anything like that, he's not strong enough to do much damage. So I'm just going to back out, and he's going to know that he can't do much either. So he's going to back out. I'm going to once again repair my dog and get him ready to get sent back out. I'm going to be adding on my second barracks and trying to get quick draw hustle as soon as I can, as soon as I've got the Ethereum for it. I want to be adding that in. I'm coming up on my supply block here, so I'm going to get my 2 workers and add my barracks, or my habitat, sorry. You're going to see it's a pretty much the same build as last time. It looks very, very similar. 2 Lancers in the EXO. I know that he doesn't have much of an army, so I'm going to go out on the map and I'm going to do some creep camps. Again, in the new patch, you know, I see what his army is. I see where it is right here. Two brutes, 2 gaunts. Here comes the third one. I know I could probably even fight that, and so I'm not worried about being out on the map, but do get an idea of how big the army is. Some people like to go 1 base, they go one vault and 1 conclave, and they go from there and do a bunch of creep camps and stuff and get a big army. So you got to be very careful when you are going out on the map with your units. You got to know how big their army is, how big your army is, that sort of stuff. With my dog, I typically like to go to all the camps that they took and just try and take it back. All the camps provide passive bonuses in addition to the active ones. So in addition to the actual ring of sight that the vision camp gives, all my units get additional bonus vision as well, which is very helpful. So I try and always go and steal those whenever I can. And so my dog's going to get that, and I'm going to head across the map. Still continuing workers, and I'm going to add on my 3rd barracks there. You can see that. And like I said, around the time that my workers are fully saturated there, I did this a little early, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to be going up into tier 2. The goal with what I'm saying with the tier 2 is you want to have full saturation. You want to be in a good place economically before you're going up into tier 2 for this matchup. I've seen his army on the map. He's taken the vision camp, and I kind of know it's not super strong, so I'm going to go and try and fight it and do some trades. I also know my tier 2 is on the way, so I'm going to take a look for that. And once I get it, I'm going to promote all my exos again, same as last game. You can see one of the Exos, again, same as last game, was already promoted to Tier 1. So I'm going to promote him all the way up to Tier 3. He's going to be getting 30% bonus damage, 30% bonus HP, and 1.5 extra attack range. And there's nothing stronger in an RTS game than range and speed. Those two things are very, very strong. So he's going to be tuned up into a pretty strong Exo there. And I'm going to be taking my third behind this while I try and go and trade. I'm focusing down the Gaunts, like I said. And the Hellborn's actually armored, so he dies really quickly as well. He's a good target to focus as well. Again, kind of ignoring the Brutes, and remember, we don't micro-lancers at all. It's not their job. Let them do their job of tanking so that your Exos can do their job of winning the fights. So I left those Exos there to deal with the Brutes, and they did their job perfectly. I traded a Hellborn and a bunch of Gaunts for just my Lancers, which is a great trade. I'm going to retake the Vision Camp. It's a little risky to be out here on my own with just Exos, but again, I know how big his army is, and that's a very important thing, is to know how big the army is that you're dealing with. Now that I know his army isn't all that big, I'm going to try and kill that third base. And with the second side group, I'm going to be taking more camps. Remember, you got to be active with the creep camps. That camp doesn't actually give any money, you might be thinking, at least in the old patch that I was playing on here. It didn't give any resources. Doesn't matter. It's about the veterancy. Killing that still gives my units veterancy, which is unique to the Vanguard faction, and as you've seen, it's very powerful. Now that my third base is up and running, I'm making workers. My worker production is a little worse than last game, but it's not a big deal. I'm still doing pretty good. I'm going to add in that 4th and 5th barracks. You want to get that once your third base is operational and you've got some stuff rolling. You can see there I'm going to kill that camp as well for additional XP. And the creeps really do give quite a bit of XP. They'll rank up your units and all sorts of stuff like that. And it will make a difference in the fights overall. Same as last game. A bit later in the game I like to get that Lancer upgrade going. It's not very critical. I go for just a couple Lancers and more focused on Exos. In this game I got some medics earlier as well. Just kind of depends on what I'm seeing, army-wise and all that sort of stuff, for what units I get. But for the most part, you're going to want just a few Lancers to tank, and mostly Exos. I got a dog. I remade my dog as well in case they're going for venom mines or anything like that. And I'm just going to poke in. Shrines, Shroud Stones I think they're called, they are armored, and that means that Exos kill them pretty quickly. I'm going to try and micro back that 1 hurt Exo. And he's going to use his Weaver Pull on the one of the Tier 1 Exos. He should have aimed for that Tier 3 guy in the middle there, or in the back, but it's his mistake. So I'm just going to be doing some kiting back and forth, just trying to get damage, and he's actually going to drop on the other side of the map. This is a pretty detrimental drop. I didn't prepare for this because I have no turret, and so suddenly the game that was looking one can now turn into a disaster pretty quickly. You see my Bobs are just repairing rather than attacking, and I'm going to have to pull them to the other side. I'm going to move my rally point to the nearer side of my base and try and group up and then take care of that drop. If I had just had a single turret there with a unit in it, I would have been able to deflect that perfectly and it wouldn't be a problem. But now all of a sudden the game is kind of in jeopardy. So it's very important to try and close the opportunities that enemies have to deal damage to you. You want to try and take away those opportunities by doing things like building those sentry posts. I'm going to be doing most of my micro back at home, even though you can see on the minimap I am actually under attack on the main base, and I almost lose everything. He's got his workers and my units, but Tier 3 Exos, they don't mess around, and there's 3 of them alive still. And so those guys single-handedly are actually going to be able to carry this side of the map. He's going to move to my main and drop again. Doombringers are very annoying, very fast, a lot of HP, and can carry a whole bunch of units. I'm going to be rushing over, and again I'm going to miss it because it's the speed of light, and it's faster than even the quick draw hustle Exos. I'm going to leave some of my Exos on the high ground, and I'm going to send the rest on the low ground to try and kill it. That's so that he can't come back up into the high ground, but also that I'm going to get to deal with this.
Insufficient supply.
I'm also microing my very small, not great army on the other side. And I'm going to be trying to do some of the stutter step here. I'm pretty on top of it. The one good thing is the Doombringer is
Capture
armored,
point
so I am going to be
contested.
able to do a lot of damage to it with the
Capture
Exo.
point secured. Insufficient
But
supply.
overall, you can see I took a lot of damage. I have a lot of lost mining time, and I'm going to build that sentry post. You can see I was pretty done with the idea that he's going to get another drop off. On the other side of the map, I'm going to be trying to micro this little group again that I've got here. Just a few med techs and some tier 3s. I'm going to focus the gaunts because the Magmadon doesn't do that much damage outside of his stomp.
Our
And
forces are
he's
under
got hardly
attack.
any units left. I killed both his bases and most of his workers. He's going to try for a desperate drop on the other side, but I left a few units to shut that opportunity down. If I took all my units, I'd have to deal with this again. Maybe he could kill my workers and snowball with the fiends and all that sort of stuff.
Complete.
But as it is, I'm going to be able to take him down. And that's going to be game 2. And that's going to bring us up from 827 to 894. Thanks for watching.